Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 Wii U review, and oh boy has it been a long time since I've said that. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Pikmin 3, which if you've never played it before, it's a bit, I suppose, kind of like an RTS or something. It is really a real-time strategy, but not. It's like mixed with a tower defense game and a real-time strategy, and there's just all sorts of stuff really, I suppose, going on for it. It was very unique, and it still is one of the very most unique genres out there. I've only really seen one or two copycats, one of which I've reviewed on the Vita. So at the start you can go into story, mission or bingo battle. You can also play the game on just the gamepad if you want to, which it's quite nice that it supports off-screen play. I believe that's what they call it. For now I'm just going to go into story. I'll try and show mission off at the very least. I probably won't get bingo done because I'm on my own at this moment in time. I don't have anyone to play with it. However, I can pretty much mention bingo because it's very easy to mention. It's terrible, it's broken, it's badly balanced, and the reason I say that is it's a multiplayer game where the whole point is you're playing essentially split screen, and you get a checklist of, I think it's like 20 things, 4 by 5, and the whole point is you've got to go around and collect items off that checklist, and when you create a line you therefore win the game because you've got bingo. It is very similar to real life bingo rules. And the reason it's badly balanced and broken and just terrible is the fact that this thing here, you know, the big selling point of the Wii U, as you might notice, has a map on it at this moment in time. Even though I'm not even in a level, it's got a map on it. That map shows you where everything is. So, if you're playing against someone on a Pro Controller and you have the gamepad, they've got to use dumb luck in order to, you know, complete their row, whereas you can just look and go, oh, well, that's over there, and you can then plot around and do things like that, and pretty much whoever wins, like, has the gamepad wins. It really is like doing a treasure hunt where the organizer says, well, you know what, we'll give this guy the map and the shovel, and we'll just give this guy a shovel and tell him what he needs to find. And it really is as simple as that. One guy has a map, one guy doesn't. It totally breaks the game. And quite frankly, I don't even see why they did it. If this is something that they added when they pushed it back for the 9 months that it got pushed back, I'd have rather they added a lot more single player content, because the campaign on this is incredibly short and pretty easy. It is actually, this is probably the first time in, I think, ever that I'm about to slate a Wii U game. And not so much slate, because it is a good game. It's a decent game, but I expected a hell of a lot more, and I have came out incredibly disappointed. The campaign, as I've already mentioned, is really short. A lot of people are beating it in under 10 hours. I never timed myself personally, so I don't know exactly how long it took me, but all I can see is if you are not so much a master of Pikmin, but if you've played a lot of Pikmin, then it's not going to take you all that long. The difficulty's just not really there. It's pretty easy. The timer is there for the deers, so like when you play on the deer you still get a short time limit, and any Pikmin left behind gets stranded and killed and eaten and that, unless they're in the right area. However, the timer of the first game where you had just like a 30-day limit to do it, that's gone. Instead it's replaced with, you've got supplies, and the supplies, you use one supply ration every day, which is quite flawed, because when you only have one character at the start, he even makes a mention, ooh, looks like I get the whole day's rations to myself. Well, why? Why are you being greedy? Why can't you just split that up into 3 portions and that lasts you longer? Because they're obviously designed for 3 portions, because the game's designed for 3 people. It's just one of those things that makes you think, well, that just seems like lazy development. Why bother even mentioning it if it is the sort of stuff that really does annoy me, as you might have already gathered. But anyway, because that limit's there, it kind of makes it more difficult, except for the fact that all you need to do is just find levels that have an awful lot of fruit on them and just keep going at them again and again, a stockpile, so you're never really in any danger, you know. And it is a shame, because Miyamoto, I believe it was, it might have been Iwata, They basically said that they wanted to add more stress into the game and make it a lot more like the first one, and then instead they've made it a lot more like the second one, except they've actually went backwards, because as you might notice, I'm currently playing with 2 people here. I've got I think this guy's called Alf, and then she's called Brittany, and then there's also Cap'n. So there's 3 people. Now you would think, well, Pikmin 2 had 2-player split screen. This supports off-screen play, like I'm showing here, so I can play the game on the gamepad. So I know 3 people, you're going to have 2 on the TV, 1 on the gamepad. This is going to be awesome. Me and my mates are really going to enjoy it. Well, get those thoughts out your head right now. It's a 1-player game. Why? Why is it a 1-player game? This is something that really does boil my piss, quite frankly. Why go to all this effort to add another character and to play up to it, and everyone thought, therefore, that it was going to be 3-player and then make it 1-player? Instead, you've got this crappy little tacked-on multiplayer mode, instead of being able to play the game 3-player co-op, which would have made it a much more of an enjoyable experience, because yes, it probably would have made it easier and therefore shorter, but at least you could have had a laugh with your mates while you were doing it, so it wouldn't have been not so much as painful, because it's not a painful experience, but it wouldn't have been as noticeable, because at least you would be having a laugh. And of course, time will therefore fly when you're having fun. It is one of the age-old sayings, because it's kind of true. You don't notice time as much if you're having a really good time. And it's just things like that that really do annoy me with the game, because they've done so much to it. I mean, graphically, this is jaw-dropping. When I first put it on, I couldn't believe how good the game looked, because, I mean, I was going from playing Pikmin 1 and Pikmin 2, and when you go back to them, oh boy, do they look like crap. And it's just, this is jaw-droppingly beautiful. Musically, it's as awesome as it always has been. Control-wise, there are quite a few issues, notably the fact that it feels off and wrong. And it's something that I noticed straight away, and I mentioned this in my Pikmin 2 vid, and I said I was going to mention it in my Pikmin 3 vid. When you go back, you don't half notice the difference and notice why it feels off. I mean, first up, I haven't yet discovered how to actually attack using my main character. And I don't know why that is, because you used to be able to attack. And as you can see here, I'm bashing the ear button and I'm not even making the gesture or anything like I was in the Pikmin 2 vid. The whistle doesn't work anywhere near as well. It's not as responsive. Sometimes you really have to go over an area 2 or 3 times in order for the Pikmin to actually come back to you. Using the right analog stick moves the camera. It doesn't tell the Pikmin to hurry up, so quite often they'll get left behind because there's no way to bring that urgency. One of the nice little additions with the gamepad, I suppose, is that you can touch on the touch screen and then a cursor will appear and you can actually touch and tell it to go there and it will just manually do it. So if there's like a point of interest, it's only if there's a point of interest, to be fair, as far as I'm aware. I'm struggling to actually do anything here with it, either that or I'm just hitting the wrong thing, but I managed to get it to work earlier and now I can't. There we go. Right, so I've told it to go there. Basically, I'm not controlling this now. As you can see, hands free. And I've told them to go back to the ship, and he went back to the ship. Now that's quite cool, because you never know, sometimes you might need to, I don't know, even something as mundane as blowing your nose, you know? It might be something stupid like that. And just being able to go, right then, I'll just tell them to go there, I've already killed the enemies, I know I'm safe, I can do something else, I can have a drink, I can have a bite of me sandwich, you know, just something daft like that. It's a nice little feature. The new Pikmin in the game are quite cool. I mean, you've probably already seen I've got the rock Pikmin here. I don't have a file with the other Pikmin, the flying one. That's incredibly cool, because obviously Pikmin have never flew before. Direction in the game is pretty much a case of you just gotta like go around, and sometimes it's quite easy, sometimes it's not. I mean, here now I'm honestly struggling to remember where I have to go to, because it's a case of when you go onto a deer, if you run out of time right at the end, then it's a case of remembering, well, where did I go, where did I do, did I smash that, did I not, where did I find next? And sometimes it is a case of hit and miss, and you might be replaying deers, especially if you've taken a break from it or something. You might find yourself going, well, right then, actually, I'll play, get me bearings, then I'll tell it to reset the deer. It's quite cool that you can do that. You can pretty much go back to any of the deers. You could even go back to deer 1 if you wanted to and just replay it. If you, like on deer 5, you weren't happy with how things are going and you think, all right, I'll just start over again. or you can go obviously from day 2 or day 3, or just replay that day in question if you weren't keen with it. And keen with what you've done. Maybe you lost a load of Pikmin, maybe, you know, just things like that. Maybe you did spend too much time exploring and you felt it was a day's rations wasted. It has done, as I say, a lot to the gameplay that makes this the better game, but it's also done a lot that makes it a worse game. The fact that it's shorter and they're already talking about adding DLC to it, it worries me, because it's just like, well, was stuff held back? I mean, the game had a 9-month delay, and you're talking about they're now adding DLC. Why couldn't this have been content that was included in that 9-month gap? Loads of people love to hate on Ubisoft for delaying Rayman, but at least Rayman Legends has added a load new levels in the delay time, you know? So, I mean, if there is extra content in this because of the delay, just how short was it before? It's questions like this that just make me think that the game feels rushed. It's still a good, enjoyable game. It's actually a reason to dust off your Wii U, which for a lot of people there will actually be a lot of dust on it. And it's something worth getting, but if I'm honest, I managed to get the game cheap. I paid £32, and there's currently a deal on at the moment with, if you buy it digitally for £40, then you get a 30% discount off Wonderful 101. I was tempted, but I've actually managed to get both games for £62 pre-ordered online, so even with a 30% discount, it'd be cutting it close. And at least this way I can trade in the physical product when I'm done with it if I get sick of it, you know. So that I kind of went for that, but I imagine a lot of people might well be going for the digital discount promotion thing, because it's a nice little promotion. At the moment, Ninty are doing a hell of a lot of cool promotions. Obviously, they just recently came off the back of yet another 3DS promotion with so many games, and I absolutely loved that and took advantage of it quite thoroughly, and managed to get 4 free games for my best friend and my brother, just by doing a little creative sorting out and registering. So it was quite cool because they don't have a lot of income at the moment, because one of them's buying a house and the other one doesn't currently have a job because he's too young. It's just like, it was quite nice to be able to go, alright then, I'll buy this game, my older brother buys this game, and then you get that game free, you get that game free, and it was just quite a nice promotion, and it's one that I think they need to probably do with something along the lines of the Wii U, quite frankly, because well, a lot of people are going to be struggling with things to play, and at the moment there's not very much coming out, so it would be quite cool if over the Christmas period or maybe Easter or something they came up with well, right then, if you bought Mario and Mario Kart, then you'll get Game & Wario free, you know, so something daft like that. But anyway, I am just warbling on now. I've pretty much mentioned everything I can with Pikmin. I'm trying my best not to show any major spoilers, so I've just been wandering around, just literally aimlessly throwing Pikmin about, which I know is not the most exciting gameplay, but seeing as this is the first major game to come out for the Wii U in quite some time, the last thing I wanted to do was spoil a puzzle, you know. I didn't want to ruin anyone's enjoyment of a game that's already short. So pretty much all I can mention is, well, re-mention, it's a decent game if you can get it for a cheap enough price. It's not worth a stupidly high price. I think £40 is probably would have been my limit for the game, but £32 is definitely nicer because of how short it is. So there might be some people who might want to wait until it's in a sale or something. Gameplay wise, it is really good. They've done some really nice tweaks to it. The multiplayer is tacked on, and it really is. The mission mode, which to be fair, I'll very quickly exit. I might have to do a cut here, unfortunately, though. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to do a cut, because otherwise it's going to save this as a deer on this file, and I don't want that to happen. So, this is the mission mode menu anyway, and you can play this 2-player, but not 3-player, and again, it's a bit of an annoyance. Why couldn't you play it 3-player with the off-screen? But anyway, you can collect treasure or battle enemies. At least that's what I've got so far, so I'll go on battle enemies, I suppose, so I can at least show some of the fighting off, because as I was saying, I didn't want to save on that file because that's not currently my file. I don't want to mess anyone else's gameplay up or anything. Just in order to go onto an earlier file, I went onto someone else's. So, it's one of those, what I was in the middle of saying, the mission mode is quite good. It adds a lot of length and gameplay and difficulty to it, but it's something that Nintendo are doing a lot, and I'm not happy with it as an overall business plan, I suppose, because I'd much rather they make longer, better games rather than shorter, easier games and then going, oh, but there'll also be a mission mode which you'll be able to play for extra difficulty and challenge. It's what they did with New Super Mario Bros. U, it's what they did with a lot of games recently, and it's just like, I'm thinking, well, I'd just rather have more single player content, you know? Why do we have to have this mission mode? It was cool when they first did it, and now it's just a case of, well, it's an old trick that's getting used a hell of a lot, so can we move on to something else now? It's one of those things though that I've still not got around, to be fair, to mentioning the fact that obviously, that as well as the flying Pikmin, I mentioned the rock Pikmin. Basically, the rock Pikmin are really beefy, bulky, and they'll like smash crystal walls and that. You might have also noticed there that I've just threw like a bomb as well, because there's items to pick up with a Pikmin, and when you throw it, then put the bomb on, and it blew the enemy up, and it was quite cool. I've been mentioning a couple of problems with the controls, but I haven't mentioned the problems with the AI, because the Pikmin are dumb, and they are like really, really stupid. There's the amount of times that you're throwing a Pikmin, and it'll just land close to where you're throwing them, but he'll just then stand there instead of either picking the item up, smashing the item, hitting the enemy. Usually it's a case of they'll just stand there waiting to die, and it's a complaint that a lot of people have had, and I've seen in a lot of other reviews, and it's definitely one that is quite noticeable. And it's a shame, again, because it does feel like it's been rushed because of that. The little things here and there that don't feel as polished as they usually do in a Nintendo game. I mean, I threw well more than the amount of Pikmin I needed, but some of them decided to run round and instead plant the bomb rock, and now their bomb rock's going to blow the others up, which is partially my own fault, but it's still incredibly annoying. So yeah, it's got some problems basically, and I think I know I've mentioned pretty much every problem about it, but it is still a decent game, and it's just one of them though that it could have been so much better, and it has disappointed me personally, and I think it's going to have disappointed a lot of people as well. The one thing that it particularly hasn't disappointed is how amazing it looks graphically and how amazing it sounds as well. But yeah, I think that pretty much is all I can mention. I've already warbled on far more than I intended to, so I'll leave you there then. Well, my brother's probably going to kill me for this, because he always does when I have to do stupid little add-ons before the vid's even been actually edited. It was just a case of me absolutely sucking. When I do this now, I can run up to them, no Pikmin in hand, and I can throw the punches, and I can attack the enemies, and it does do the animation. It's just that when you're away from them, it doesn't do the animation, and it must have been a case of I had Pikmin behind me, and I wasn't close enough at the time, so it must have just been me completely sucking, and that'll be why I wasn't able to throw the punch. That though is, at least I can confirm that it was just me being crap. The only thing that I've realised I haven't mentioned is that there's a lock-on feature, but it doesn't work overly well. Basically, the way that the camera works, you can move freely, as I've already said, but there's also a button flick, and you can actually press and hold and lock onto it, but sometimes it's not very responsive and it doesn't work very well, and sometimes the Pikmin still have a mind of their own and fire off in different areas, and it's just one of those. Again, it's something that could have done with a bit of tweaking and polish, and I don't know, maybe they'll do a patch and fix some of the issues that I personally have with the game and make it an overall much better game. But there are 2 or 3 things that it just does feel like for a 9-month delay they should have been fixed. They really should have. So I think that is now everything I can say about the game. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.